Hey YouTube, welcome back. I actually have a surprise for you guys. This is not the Duramax half-ton crew cab pickup truck. This in fact is one of the other trucks that I was considering at the time. This is the half-ton crew cab short box with the 2.7 liter turbocharged gas engine in it. Some people had asked about other fuel economy loops. I actually wanted to do this loop for my own enjoyment, and I'm hoping that you guys enjoy it also. This was one of the trucks that I was considering, but its tow rating is a little bit on the lower side compared to the truck that I ended up getting with the Duramax. But we're going to take this on the 103-mile loop that I've done with the Duramax and try to compare to see how the small gas engine works compared to the Duramax itself. So I wanted to go ahead and show you guys the window sticker for this 2.7 liter truck that I test drove. So it does have the All-Star Edition on it. It has the convenience package number 2 installed on it, and it also has the 18-inch rims, which are the same rims that I have on my Duramax. There's also the trailer brake controller and the all-weather floor liners and the all-terrain tires. So in general, it's very similar in a fashion to the Duramax that I've got. Well, here we go, YouTube. We are at our Meyer fueling station, and we're getting ready to run this 103-mile MPG loop. So I'm gonna go ahead and reset that. We have a little bit of different views this time compared to what I had done with the Duramax, or what I've been doing with my Duramax, but very much the same process is what we're going to use here. So nice and easy getting up to speed. You will see that I'm not using the track recorder mode, at least not right now. My plan is to do an a 0 to 60 video also with this, so I can compare my Duramax with the 2.7 liter, and then when I get a chance to do a 5.3 with the 10-speed. Currently there aren't any available in my local area, so that's why I'm running this MPG loop, because these trucks are available currently. So one of the things that I wanted to show you guys, of course this is pretty much a brand new truck, but I was going to go through and show you the difference in the screens. So this truck is an LT. It is not a Z71, so it's just a standard single speed transfer case. So LTs, all the pickup trucks, GM pickup trucks, unless you buy the Z71 package, you don't get the 2-speed transfer case. That was something that I really wanted on my truck, because I do have a farm and I do sometimes need to use that low gear in order to do towing. But this truck doesn't have it. It's only got auto 4-wheel drive, high 4-wheel drive, 2-wheel drive, and then there's also a hill start assist mode, which I'm not exactly sure how that works, but maybe we'll have a chance to take a look at that too. But here are the main screens. So we want to be on this screen here while we get up to speed. And again, we're going to run this at 70 miles an hour, 103 miles loop. So I'm going to go ahead and set the cruise control and sit back and enjoy this nice long ride. So you've got the speed that's visible for you on that center info screen. Trip number 1 is available. Trip number 2 is available. Now this truck has spent a lot of time idling, and I'll show you that in a little bit, because that's one of the other screens that you get to look at. Currently it says the range is only 288 miles, but that's because our fuel economy has been really crushed by the fact that it's idled a lot. So 94% oil is still left in this. The tires did all start out right around 35, 36 PSI, which is what is stated on the door. And I'll get a picture of that too to show you guys. The the air filter life is at 90%. Brakes are good. And here is really the kicker. So 13.5 miles per gallon is what this truck has been averaging because it's been on the lot. So you'll see we have a total of 8.7 hours that are on the engine. 3.6 of those hours have been spent idling, whether it was in the factory waiting to get onto a truck, or once it got off the truck, or sitting at the dealership. They typically like to warm them up for you. And I will show you guys all the options that this has, and I will show you the Monroney for it too. Currently, there's some really good deals on them. Transmission temperature, 192 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, I know there's going to be a lot of people that talk about how warm the transmissions run on these trucks. It's completely intentional. So they actually take this 2.7 liter turbo has a very similar heating cooling strategy as to what my Duramax has, the 3 liter Duramax. So basically it has multiple coolant loops, and it has the ability to either pull heat out or put heat into other areas. And the transmission is one of those other areas where it will actually take the exhaust or the waste heat coming off the engine, and it will then warm the transmission up so that it runs at an efficient operating temperature. Oil is more viscous when it's colder, so if you can get it to a standardized temperature and try to run it right around that point, then everything will run as efficient as possible. And this truck really is intended for people that are looking for good fuel efficiency and don't necessarily tow a whole lot. I looked up the trailer towing guide for this particular truck, and again, it's a half-ton crew cab short box 4-wheel drive, and it is rated to only tow 6,600 pounds, which doesn't sound like a whole lot, but I would say the majority of the trucks that you see on the road, people really aren't towing that much. I technically would not be able to tow my camper trailer that I've got, the Cougar. It would be overweight in that particular situation, and in fact, since I do have the weigh ticket, I'll show you guys how the weigh tickets compare between the Duramax and this 4-cylinder. You have trailer brake controller, so this does have a trailer brake controller built into it, which is really nice. It is a truck that has the bench seat, which actually was really the configuration that I wanted for my truck, but unfortunately with an LT you're not able to get a power seat. And once you start adding some of the other options, I have to get over here for a second. Once you start adding some of the other options, and in particular the technology package, which gave us all the extra cameras, that's when you basically have to get the center console and you have to go with the bucket seats. But I do like the idea of having a bench seat to be able to have that 6th person for short trips. I would never ever use it for a long trip, but for short trips it makes it convenient. So this is the off-road screen that's showing there in the center, and then our last one is to go in and edit the options that you would be able to see for this center screen. And in fact, typically from the factory, not all of these options are enabled. I don't ever really use the timer because I don't really care about that time. I'm more concerned with engine hours. But I typically will turn all these on, and the blank page doesn't really matter to me either. So that is that's the center section there, and we're just gonna basically again sit back and relax and enjoy this nice little cruise out towards Port Huron, and come back and we'll use the same gas pump, and we use the same double click, so it clicks once and then wait 30 seconds and then finish filling it up, and we'll calculate the fuel economy. I had mentioned before, and I'll mention it again, there's actually about a 10-mile-an-hour tailwind as I head east here. And once we turn around, I'll get back on, and then I'll talk to you guys, and we'll see how we look as far as fuel economy is concerned. And in fact, I'll end up speeding this video up some. So we'll stay on this one. We've already went 7.6 miles, and we're up to 21.5. So this current view that you're looking at, we're going to lose this in about 10 or 15 seconds. So the center screen here, I was not able to record for the entire trip, but I did get the top view there showing the road and also the data coming off of the Torque Pro app. So I tried to get some royalty-free music installed so that you guys could listen to it during the drive sequence, but it didn't work. Instead, I'll be publishing where you guys can actually jump to if you don't want to see all of the data in the middle. One thing that I do want to note for you guys to look at is, as we're heading east here, if you take a look at the lower left-hand corner, that's actually the amount of boost that we're having driving this truck. So with the tailwind, basically we hardly ever get into the boost. But when you get to coming back west, you'll definitely see a difference. I'll make sure that I make another comment before the data actually starts to get displayed. Go ahead and jump ahead to 1334 if you're looking for the next set of commentary. Or if you want to enjoy the view, just keep on watching. So we're approaching the turnaround point here, close to Port Huron, and according to the trip computer here, we're at 24.6 miles per gallon. I have to say that's pretty good, but of course we do have that tailwind that's helping reduce our overall aerodynamic drag heading east. So we're going to be getting off the freeway here, crossing over, and then heading back to the fuel stop. What I can say, so my truck that I bought, or am buying, with the 3-liter diesel along with the Z71 suspension package and 2-speed transfer case, I have to say that that truck actually rides a little bit smoother than this one does. So this has the normal suspension package installed on it. It's nothing heavy duty. Nothing like that. This is just good old-fashioned Chevy Silverado suspension package. Not that it's got a bad ride, but I really do think that the Z71 package with those other, I think the Rancho shocks, that actually is a nicer riding package. Of course, my truck weighs about 500 pounds more than this particular truck does, with the diesel engine and all the associated components that go with that engine, along with being a 6-cylinder as opposed to a 4-cylinder. But if that diesel engine was not available, and of course the other caveat was I needed the LTZ in order to get the power seat on the passenger side, this really would have been a truck that I would have considered picking up. I was impressed with the fuel mileage. I actually really like, and I don't know if you'll be able to hear it at all in part of this video or not, but the turbo whistle, you can ever so slightly hear it. I had driven one other truck, and that one seemed to shift a little more abruptly than this one does. This one's got a few more miles on it, and actually the shifts seem to go off pretty well. I know there's been discussion also all over the place about the 8-speed not being a great transmission from General Motors, but in this particular truck, the combination of the 8-speed transmission along with that little 2.7 liter turbo 4-cylinder, I actually like quite a bit. This would definitely be on the list for me if it weren't for the fact that I do tend to tow a little bit more. But if you're looking for an overall, all-around truck to be able to do some light towing, and let's say you're commuting, or if you have longer distances that you need to travel, at least this first half of the trip, I would definitely consider it. Of course, still have another 45 minutes or so left in the vehicle before we get back to the Meyer fueling station to fill it back up, and let's see how she's doing going into the wind, and get back with you once we get to that other side. So just a quick reminder, make sure you guys take a look at the boost level there on the left-hand side of the phone. So on the way heading east, basically we were always around 0. Now we're going to be running in the 1 to 2 psi range most of the way. So you can go ahead and jump ahead to 21 minutes and 33 seconds for the next set of commentary, or again, enjoy watching the data. we're getting close to the end of this MPG loop, and currently the trip computer is showing 22.2 miles per gallon over the last 98.4 miles. I just dropped down to 22.1. So I'm going to go ahead and step through some of these other things. So fuel range is still listed at 296 miles. And if we go to our last 50 miles, so it looks like, according to this particular view, the 50 miles heading out towards Port Huron, heading east with the wind, we must have been at 24.9 miles per gallon. That says the best, since this is a truck with very few miles on it. And now we're heading back the other way, and in our last 50 miles, it's down to 20.2 miles per gallon, which kind of makes sense that it would average out somewhere around 22 overall. The impression still of the truck, again, ride on this particular truck is a little bit rougher than my truck. And then the other thing that I've noticed is the overall smoothness of the cruise control. So once you lose a little bit of speed, this guy has a pretty good kick to get back to whatever the speed is that you have set. So basically it's kind of aggressive getting back up to speed when compared to the Duramax engine. The Duramax definitely is a smoother combination, or a smoother power delivery than this 2.7 liter turbo is, but still I actually think that it's a really nice powertrain combination anyways. The overall, the MPG run that we've just went through, the run has been pretty clean. As you can see right now, there's a little bit of traffic. I have 1 mile before I get off, and I have had to get over a couple of times to go around a few trucks and accelerate just a little bit, but the numbers that we're getting on this particular run they should be really equivalent to what real world other people would be getting. The other thing that I've been thinking about, since during these runs you have lots of time to think, is having a tailwind slash on the way back having a headwind actually really does affect your overall fuel economy more than having a crosswind. So in saying that, if we have a 10 mile an hour tailwind and we're traveling at 70 miles an hour, that means that we have a 60 mile an hour headwind. It's all just aerodynamics. And the aerodynamics of the truck, basically you take the velocity of that headwind, and the resistance force is actually a squared function. So 60 times 60 is 3,600. So we had 3,600 equivalent units, let's just say, because we can get rid of the units, it doesn't matter, of headwind, of reaction force up against the vehicle. And we're going to stop here, but on the way back, so here's the auto start stop. Truck is completely quiet, and as soon as traffic clears both directions, we'll start up the engine. So it's actually really smooth, just pretty much as smooth as the Duramax, that straight six. This auto start stop is awesome on it. So going back to wind resistance. So on the way back, we had 70 miles an hour plus the 10 miles an hour, which gives us 80. And 80 times 80, or the square of 80, is 6,400. So if you average your wind resistance, meaning the 6,400 plus the 3,600, gives us 10,000. Divide by 2, that gives us 5,000. And if my math is all right, then our equivalent wind speed, or our equivalent velocity that we were traveling, granted powertrain losses, all those other things aside, because those should be consistent, but our wind resistance is now higher, I guess only by a little bit, because 70 times 70 is 4,900. So 4,900 compared to 5,000 is actually a fairly small number, but it could be worse, especially if your headwind was higher. I believe the math would work out where it could end up being much worse. So here we are pulling into the Meyer fueling station again. Same pump, same technique is going to be used. So we're going to go ahead and shut the truck off so we can fill up. And we now have 22.2 is being our, oops, 22.2 is what the truck is reporting for fuel economy. I'm going to go ahead and start this up in accessory mode. And to start it up in accessory mode, you just hold down the start button. You don't push on the brake. We want to have that so that we can actually leave the ECU stuff running. So I'm going to hop out here and we're going to fill up. So just finished our filling up, and we ended up filling up with 4.621 gallons. So I'm gonna go ahead and stay here for a second, and let's see what that ends up being. So we have 103 miles divided by 4.621 gallons. Ends up at 22.3. It's 22.289, so 22.3 miles per gallon. The trip computer is right on, so not bad at all for a truck that is able to tow a little bit, and also a truck that's able to, you know, fill, I would say, the majority of people's needs. People have asked about doing the 5.3 liter with the 10 speed, doing the same type of test, and I am going to do that in the future. So please make sure that you continue to subscribe. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe and smash that like button for me, please. And any comments that you have, any questions, please feel free to put those in the comment section, whether on this video or any of my other videos, and I will make sure that I try to answer them as quickly as I can. Thank you so much.